Hey, David.
Hey Dean, how you doing today?
Good. It's very wet here. Hurricane, the remnants of a hurricane are running through North Carolina. So a lot of flash flood warnings. I apologize in advance if you get any of that sharp beeping noise from my phone.
We're getting
Uh,
that too coming up
oh, yeah.
here into New Jersey soon.
There you go. Okay. So let's jump in then. First, before we do anything else, what's a fractional CMO?
So, great question. A fractional CMO is someone that comes in, is part of your team, but not on a full-time basis.
Hmm.
And he's there to help lead you and your organization to growth by leveraging a more strategic marketing plan and tying it into your business plan without having
Okay.
to bring on a full-time person.
All right. That's a really good explanation. I've heard a few now. That one's really good. Okay. So let's do this. Tell the audience a little bit about you. And then before we get to that, before you answer, here's our hypothetical for this podcast and every episode. So today is day one of your brand new fictional engagement, new project, new engagement, new client, new everything, right? What do you normally try to accomplish, or what problems do you go looking for in the first 90 days? So, what problems do you go looking for in the first 90 days? And let folks know a little bit about you.
Sure, great. So I'm David Spann from Spann Marketing Solutions. I am a fractional CMO.
Hmm.
I've spent many years, maybe too many years, heading up in-house marketing for a number of corporate environments, mostly in tech, from large corporations, Fortune 50 companies, to early stage startups. Really lean more towards the smaller technology startup type of environment, really about growth. So today, my clients have found that agencies that they work with don't really understand how their marketing needs to work, especially in B2B. Um, so I come in, I help establish the right processes and the right strategies to help them grow. It's really about growth. Well, I can get tactical and execute and have the skills around all, especially digital marketing. I'm happy to work with and manage their existing agencies so they stay on the right page. If your agencies aren't on the right page, if you're not
Right.
getting
Yeah.
enough strategy from them, I add those capabilities for the clients, and I can work directly with those agencies, or I have people I work with that can do it themselves.
And so, what does the first 90 days look like typically? Like, what problem
So
do you go hunting for, or what does every client seem to suffer from?
yeah, so I of course go in and do basic research, but I'm doing
Mhm.
this before I get hired, right? I come in, I don't only want to hear what problems you think you have, Mr. COO or CEO, is I want to learn about your audience, who they are, what your value proposition is, and then how do you position that to not just talk about yourselves and your products and your feature set, but
Right.
what's the value proposition and how are you solving problems for your audience? So I do my own basic research with that. As a guy who's come out of the corporate environment, I've always been part of the commercial team, right? Sales and marketing and product are closely tied together. So I first jump in those first 30 days and really try to understand the processes that are in place today, internal, around keeping those the commercial teams aligned with the business plan, and understand a little bit more about the customers. Um, the the engagement with that commercial team, it has to be more of a we, right? I don't come in there as a consultant. I don't look at myself as a consultant that's here to deliver a report on how you can do things better. I want to be part of the team, and I am part of the team to help you grow and to help breed success into the organization.
So, let's switch it around then. You're not the fractional CMO. You're the client's CEO at this point. All right. What should you expect in the first 90 days from that fractional CMO? Like your CEO, is there anything you should be doing? Is there anything you should not be doing to make sure that you haven't wasted your money by bringing in this fractional CMO, or like how you're going to get maximum value out of them?
Sure. So the first thing I'm going to do with that CEO. Okay.
As
So
CEO,
I'm
yep.
sorry. So if I'm the CEO, I'm the CEO and I'm
Mhm.
working with my fractional CMO. And I want to make sure that he's first a good fit for my team, just like I'd be hiring a full-time CMO.
Hmm.
So he has to fit with the team, and that there has to be the ability for him not only to fit, but for him not to just be a yes man or a yes person. He needs to be able to challenge. If he can't challenge me with what we've done in the past, he's probably not going to be able to help me grow. So I'm looking for someone that can challenge me, and I'm also looking for someone to that he's got to show me right away that he can provide solutions
Right.
to my problems. Not just identify the problems, but provide solutions that are proven and that he knows will work. And within that first 90 days, I need to see some success, and that should be just from low hanging fruit. Doesn't need to solve some big problems, but just let's just clean up some of the stuff that's easy first.
Right.
Don't come to me with some large projects
That'll take
that say
months or
we need to
several
redesign
quarters.
your website.
Yeah.
When someone when as a fractional CMO, I'm turning it around a little bit. If that CEO comes to me and just the first thing he says is, "I need a new website," my response is not, "Sure, let's do it," because that's money for me. My response is, "Why do you think you need a new website? What is it that you want your website to do for you? What are the goals of your website?" And even more important, don't just think about your website, think about your digital presence, your online presence. You have to include your corporate LinkedIn profile, individual LinkedIn profiles for your management team. What's your Google profile? What kind of Google reviews do you have? In B2B, those things are critical.
So let's. I want you to stay as CEO. You're doing a good
Okay.
job. Company's very happy with your performance. Okay. Um, you're looking at this fractional CMO that you just brought in. At some point, you had to convince somebody, investors, a board, leadership team, your alter ego. You had to convince somebody to set aside the spend for that fractional CMO for a year. Okay. We've talked about how to get value out of it. There's one other component here. You've got, uh, we don't know how big it is, but there's a department, there's a team, there's marketers in the company. Might be junior, might be mid-level folks. They've had supervision, maybe even management. They probably never had leadership at the marketing level before, right? This might be the very first C-level marketer in the company, this fractional CMO you just brought in. You're looking at your team today. You're trying to visualize what that team's going to be like, different, better, hopefully not worse. 12 months from now, when that fractional CMO cycles out, what's the difference going to be? What is that team going to look like 12 months from now? They're going to be bigger. They're going to be smaller. Is it going to be a different blend of inside and outside, agencies versus FTEs versus contractors, skill sets? What might they look like 12 months from now?
So that's a question that I would ask my fractional CMO to answer,
Right.
but not to answer right away.
Mm,
Because if he answers right away, that's a bit of a corporate answer that says, I know what corporate structure is supposed to be,
right.
as opposed to, I want you to come up with a plan on how we're going to either be leaner, be more effective, set the right goals going forward so we can make sure our team is built for success. And and I want to see that quickly, and then let's come up with a plan on how we evolve to that at the end of those 12 months, if that's the timeline, and how we get there, because it's not you're not going to flip a switch and say we're changing our entire marketing team and this is what we're going to do. We want to evolve to that because some roles we may want to bring in early. Maybe we want to have some new functionality, and we need to make them part of the team and see how it evolves. Um, and at the same time, if we can, just like with a fractional CMO, you're not bringing in a full-time person, right? There may be other types of either fractional roles or outsourced or contract roles that we can now leverage, that we have in-house today, and we no longer need. Technology is allowing us to do less with more, or do more with less. I'm sorry, the way that the roles are today and the technology that we have that we can leverage, we may not need the same team,
Right.
but we need to make sure that the team's goals align with the commercial goals of the firm.
All right. That's a good answer. I'm going to give you some leeway on this next one. Right. And it's simply this. It's a simple question. It's just fill in the blank. Many clients don't understand what?
There's a lot of things that most clients don't understand. Uh, the worst answer to that is that the clients don't understand the value proposition that they provide to their audience, to their client.
Mhm.
So, and there's a couple of answers in there. So first, they don't understand who their client really is. They think that they're selling a feature set to them, and they think they're selling technology. So I come from a technology background, and many CEOs are very proud of the technology that they've created,
Yeah.
and they sell that technology, their intellectual property. I've sold some very complex technologies. The customer doesn't care what that technology is. They care that it solves a problem that they're having.
Yeah.
And the more burning that problem is, the more important it is. So the positioning and the messaging around what your value proposition is, and even more so, how that solves the customer problem, that's what's usually missing. And that's what I focus on. I'm a copywriter by trade, and when I do my initial research, I really look for, yes, creative's important, but the words and how you position it along with that creative, whether it be on your website, whether it be in your mission statement, whether it be in your customer pitches or your marketing materials, how you position that you're solving a customer problem. And that's what I do as a fractional CMO. And I try to come in and sell to you my services. I'm trying to solve your problem. So I have to understand you and your audience. So that's probably number one.
Is there a number two?
Um,
Remember, we just said many clients don't understand. It doesn't have to be
right,
something most clients
right.
understand.
Many clients don't understand
Right.
how uh, the consistency of their marketing and their messaging and their online presence is critical. And most clients do not have consistent messaging across the board. So I was talking to a law firm this morning, actually, and what they have on their website was different than how this lead partner talked about what their firm does, as far as more of a mission and who they're going after.
Right.
And then I go to his personal LinkedIn, which talked very much how he talked, which wasn't like the company's,
Hmm.
and they didn't even have a corporate page. Now, this is not a small law firm. This is a law firm with 10 partners and
Wow.
about 40
So
people. Maybe it's 25 to 30 lawyers. They didn't even have their own corporate LinkedIn page. So and they're going after business clients. So business clients are going to look at them, and it doesn't seem like they understand who they are. And it made the partners seem as individuals as opposed to being part of the team. So, you have to have consistent messaging across the board. We can no longer control the journey of a customer online. We can't start them at step A and walk them through the process the way we want them to. They jump around. They may come in through Google. They may come in
right.
through a reference and come through LinkedIn. So the messaging needs to be consistent. And almost every client I go into now needs some help there. And that's not hard. It really isn't hard to fix.
Okay. Here's the next question then. There's been an explosion in the number of CMOs who've become fractional CMOs in the last 2 years. I think on LinkedIn, I'm approaching personally like first degree connected to almost 2,000 at this point, mostly because I specialize in working through fractional CMOs. But it's a lot, right? And most CMOs who are considering becoming a fractional CMO, it's another fill in the blank question, or CMOs who've recently just, put out a shingle, they're now a fractional CMO. Most new fractional CMOs don't understand what.
Most fractional CMOs, so I'm not going to just fill in the blank, but I'm going to answer the question.
Yeah, sure.
Most fractional CMOs look at this role as a consultant,
Right.
maybe as an advisor, but advisor is actually not a bad term, but as a consultant.
Mhm.
where they come in and deliver their their product is providing a plan going forward. And that's a consultant role. I don't want to be a consultant. I think a lot of people are doing it because they say, I have expertise, so you're going to buy my expertise, is what it is.
Right.
A real fractional CMO needs to be part of the team. A real fractional CMO needs to understand how the marketing strategy works along with the corporate strategy, works along with the sales strategy, and it needs to be intertwined and there needs to be alignment. And how to then go and execute on that, both internally in the company and then take that to drive growth into the business. So they need to understand that, and most don't. Most most either just want consultant work or they want to act like an agency, right? So a lot of the fractional CMOs I run into really are just agencies. I want to provide strategy and then help you execute. Whether I do the execution, whether your in-house people do the execution, whether your current agency does the execution, whether we go shopping for a new agency. I have experience in all of those things, and that's what you would want from a CMO. You just don't need a full-time CMO. Let me be part of the team. I talk to my clients and the people inside their team as we. I'm part of that. And for 30 years, that's all I've known, doing it in-house. So I feel like I own it and I want to help it grow. Most new, especially new fractional CMOs, don't do it that way. They're just hanging out of shingle.
And do you think hanging out a shingle? You think they like understand how much of their time and focus is going to be on sales instead of marketing themselves?
Um, Selling themselves, you
Yeah.
mean? No, I don't because they've never had to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Part of my experience in the startup world, um, especially in early stage startups, made me learn that everybody's a salesperson, no matter what your role is.
Right.
To help an organization grow, you need to be able to sell. You need to first be able to sell yourself. You need to be able to sell your role and your group's role in the company. And then you need to be able to sell the products. As a CMO, you need to sell the brand and you need to make sure that the messaging is consistent across the board. So you're always selling. I tell my sons, you always, no matter what type of role you have to sell yourself, and it's
Yep.
working.
Mm. All right, David, this has been so helpful. I really appreciate this. Who should be contacting you these days, and how would you like them to get in touch with you?
So what's really resonating for me
Hmm.
is, while I have such a tech background,
Hmm.
uh, I'm not focused only on the tech vertical at all. What's really resonating is companies, between 5 and 20 people. It's a privately held company, and marketing is, it's important. Someone owns it. Usually the president or the COO owns marketing,
Right.
but they're just too busy running the business. They're working 60 hours a day just running their business and trying to make it grow. So while marketing's a priority, it never moves up. It keeps getting put off. And what they end up doing is they hire an agency. They
Hmm.
don't give the agency enough time of themselves to understand the strategy, and they're just spinning their wheels. They don't grow. So I'm looking for someone that needs help. They need an adult at the table. That's a lot of times how
Right.
I refer to myself. Someone that's not going to just do what they tell them to do, but that's going to be a partner of theirs, help them grow, and and lock that in. I can be reached at my email, david@spanmarketingsolutions.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Best way for probably to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn
LinkedIn.
at
Yeah.
David Span. And I look to help people. It's really what I like about being a fractional CMO is I'm able to help a lot more people now than I did
Yeah.
before.
Impact. Right.
And excuse me?
More impact across the board.
Yes, definitely have more impact.
Yeah.
I've never taken on a role where I didn't know 100% that I could be successful at. And That's what's helping me get referrals. Most of my business comes through referrals because I've been successful with every client that I've taken on, and I've turned down some roles where I didn't think I could be successful based on unrealistic expectations. So I also just like talking to people and helping people. So that'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you again. Hopefully, you'll come back someday for another episode. And thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Dean.